Hey, what's up? This is Joshua, the Daily Video Blog. I want to talk about process and quality and confidence and egomania and the like. So I just was going through a job jacket of work related to a project, and I found a bunch of mock-ups. And the first thing I was struck by, so this is a project I worked on, I don't know, 5 months ago maybe? No, probably more than that, maybe 6 months ago. So it's not fresh in my mind anymore. And so I saw this mock-up and I was like, oh shit, that looks awesome. What is that? And I'm looking at it and I open it up and I realize it's an earlier version of this project and it's awesome. It's so good. Which leads to point number one. There's this weird notion that, hold on. There's a weird notion that you shouldn't think that your own work is awesome. Again, I cannot possibly relate to that, but I opened it up and it was awesome. So that was sick. It made me very happy. Now, alongside that was the fact that when I looked at it, I knew what I was doing in doing it. Like, I could remember the process that led to the work, and the process was good and it was sound, and it was reminding me of, I think, in the video I produced yesterday, I talked a little bit about this idea of don't worry about doing quality work, worrying about having a quality process, where quality work is simply the byproduct of that. And so I was looking at these mock-ups and I was reminded of, like, one, I looked at them and I was like, these are great. And then two, as I looked at them, I remembered the process, and the process led to good work. And this work was, like, initially, or at some point, rejected by the client. And it was kind of funny because why was it funny? Oh, because maybe I actually let my confidence be shaken by that, and I actually thought that maybe the work wasn't as good as I thought it was, or maybe the process wasn't as good as I thought it was. But upon opening it today, it is indeed as good as I thought it was. This is not going to be a homage to my brilliance. I am going to get to the point. So I had some doubts about it, but upon coming back to it, I realized this sort of basic truth. And I realized when I was making this, I was trying not to be concerned with making good work. I was just concerned with making sure the process was good, that it led to rich, layered, meaningful work with metaphors embedded into it, with a point of view about things and a certain feeling. And that was achieved because the process did what the process was supposed to do. Now, there's sort of two things that I am thinking about here. The first one then is this idea of, if you have a quality process where you don't have to worry about if the work is good and the work turns out to be good, you are 90% of the way there. I never had a really quality process up until maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I had a haphazard, bullshit, lame process that was all guesswork and inspiration and intuition and trying to come up with ideas. I have a process now that takes all of that off the table. It generates its own ideas. It generates work. It generates ideas about form. All I have to do is capture it and then follow my instincts from there. But it's largely a matter of editing at that point, not creating. Which for me, actually, that's my entire creative process, is about editing and not creating. I think creating is just like a rote activity, and editing is where it's at. Now, so that's part number one. Most of the people I know don't actually have a process. And I didn't either. The process is make some stuff, hope for the best. The process is try to come up with an idea. The process is spend too much time on the internet looking at other people's stuff, any of that kind of thing. And one of the things that reminds me of is if I think about a project I did last year that I think turned out terribly, It turned out terribly because the process was terrible. If I think back across like the length of my career or my body of work or my educational experiences, every time I did work that sucked, the work sucked because the process sucked. There's work I did that's probably formally good, even conceptually sound, and yet it sucks. And the reason that it sucks is because the process wasn't quality. It was luck that I produced good work. It was not because I knew what I was doing. It was not because I had a good idea or a good plan. I was just lucky, and sometimes you're lucky. And I would say that over the course of like maybe the first 6 years of my career, most things were just luck. They weren't actually good. They just happened to end up being okay because I have maybe decent instincts. And if I think back of like projects that really make me cringe, it's always the process. The process was absolute garbage and was not good. And so I feel like there must be a point here. I never encountered, like during my educational experiences, the notion that there was such a thing as a quality process, that it was possible to work in such a way where the work itself was simply a byproduct of working. But that's the point that I'm at right now. It's the point that I wished I had been at since day one. Now, don't get me wrong, there's lots of value in all your failures and in trying things and in experimenting, but the way that I work now, I wish I had discovered it years earlier. I think I would have produced a stronger body of work, and frankly, I think I would have produced a more productive body of work than what one picks up by failing over a period of years or over a period of time. So I think if this video has any kind of a point, which it seems unclear if it does, it is that research process and research ways of making work and developing ideas that allow you to forget about whether you're good, where the work can lift itself up to your particular skill level, because on some point you are always going to be restricted by the amount of experience you have, and that as you get more experience, you're going to get better. And if anything, when you see designers or artists or whatever that fall off big time, they fell off because their process was garbage. You know, the ridiculousness of somebody like Jim Dine still making the freaking heart paintings, that dude's process sucks. So he makes the same thing again and again. He mistakenly thinks maybe that the process is to make the same painting over and over again. I think the problem is that it turned out that maybe Jim Dine didn't actually have a process. And so he's run out of ideas, because to make new work would require him to come up with an idea. I always say come up with an idea as if it was in italics or in quotes, because it's a stupid, dumb process. If you have to come up with an idea, you're already fucked. You shouldn't have to come up with an idea. You should simply work, and ideas should flow out of that in a natural way. This is a rather judgmental video today, but be that as it may. Investigate your process, capture it, figure out what it actually is when you are working. Like, what are the steps that you are physically taking to make a piece of work? Capture that and look at it, and then ask yourself, is it possible that those same steps are replicable? Is it possible that those same steps can lead to radically different outcomes, or will they always sort of lead to the same thing in a consistent, boring way and not in a consistently productive way? All right, that's kind of a long one. I think I was being a dick to Jim Dine. I apologize, Mr. Dine. Thanks a lot for watching.